So before we go any further, let's just draw a quick little diagram of what we want to happen here, okay? So I'm going to pull up my notes really quickly. And let's take a look right here. We have this div that's called a picture holder div. Picture holder. That's the class we gave one of these divs, right? And inside this div right now, we have two other divs. We have a div of animal image that takes up this space, and a div of animal caption, right? Animal image and animal caption. Now, the reason why they extend all the way across the entire length of the picture holder div is because they both display block. So they're going to take up their own row and display all the way across the div. Right here we have a little image, and then here we have some text and our little source, right? But what we actually want, we want it to look like this. We want our picture holder div to be here. Our animal image to take about half of the space with the image like that. And then we want our caption to be right here. And our source right there. Exactly, yes. So I can see a lot of you are already thinking about how we would do this. The first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to give each of these a width of what? Since they both take up half, we give them a width equals 50%. And if you do that to both of these, they should want to first take up half of the entire picture holder div. But they're not going to do it right away. I have to give them a display property. How should I display them? Because right now they display blocks, so they take up their own row. We could display them inline or inline block. Let's see which one works and why. Okay? So let's get out of this really quickly, and let's take a look at which one of those works. So they're called animal image and animal caption. So back inside my style.css file, I'm going to go to the very end, and I'm going to say dot animal image, comma, dot animal caption. Now, when I put a comma here, it means I'm applying the same style to both things. And we said, what do we want to give them a width of? Yeah, 50%. Just like that. Okay, now notice, first I give them a width of 50%. They take up half of the div, but they don't stack up next to each other. That's what we have to give them a display of. What did you say, Gerald? Which one do you want to try first? Inline? Yeah. Okay. So even when we do that, we see a couple problems. So what did you want? What was the second thing you wanted to try? Inline block. Okay. Let's try inline block next. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Inline block. We're still having some problems here. Notice that? Interesting. Let's try and make them 49%. Okay. That seems to work. I wonder why. Well, if you think about it, if you look back at our discussion on inline and inline block elements, they have a tiny little bit of white space to the right of each element right there. So that's actually happening with our divs also. Once we display them inline, they have a tiny little bit of white space, so that 50% is actually going to be more than 100% added up when you have that, take that little white space in consideration. You'll also notice here that the images are super small. Let's make those bigger by scrolling up to where we have a rule for image. We give them a width of 25%. Let's see what it looks like when we give them a width of 50% instead. Okay, let's try 75%. Now it's looking a little bit better. Look at that. That's starting to look like what I want it to look like. We have the image on the left, and we have the text on the right. That's not half bad. Is there any changes you would make to this so far? This seems to be doing what I want it to do. I think the problem would be, since both of these are about the exact same size, it looks pretty nice. But say, for instance, we were to change up the caption, maybe make it a little bit longer. This is my friend Actress Hamster. Her pose is phenomenal. She really likes carrots. If I were to save this and refresh, let's see how it looks now. Okay, still good. She really likes carrots and celery. Let's try that. Refresh. Still working, okay. And she is super happy. Blah, blah, blah. Now look at this. Now all of a sudden the image is starting to push down because the size of the caption is huge. That's a little bit obnoxious. It's okay. It'll be fine for now. But notice that that's something we're going to fix in future videos. So really quickly, we start to have what we want. It looks nice. There we go. This looks a little bit closer to what I'm trying to achieve here, right? Not bad. Now the other option we have is instead of displaying them inline block, what happens if we try to float them left instead? Float left. Ooh, interesting. Look at this. Notice that when we float them left, we get all kinds of problems. You see this? That's funky, huh? We're definitely not getting the achieved result. In fact, the background image here is not even displaying. I mean, the background color is not even displaying. If you want to do it this way, you can, but just make sure in your picture holder that you display the picture holder inline block. And that will fix your problems like this. If that's the way you want, if you want to use floats instead. You still can. I just want to give you another way to style this, to style each of these divs. But I'm actually going to go with the display inline block just because I want to show you a few things about stacking them next to each other. Display inline block. Okay. So I think that's enough refactoring for now. We're about to get into a little bit more of positioning and layout of the page in the next video. But I'm going to paste all this code into Slack so that you have it. I still don't like this 49% width here, and I'd love to change that up, and we'll talk about how to do that in a second. But for now, I'm going to pause this video, and we'll call it, and I'll answer any of your questions if you have them.